From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Thursday, September 29th, 2016. Silver is trading at $19.05 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,320 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $608. Antiwar.com reports just 10 days after their most recent deployment of ground troops into Iraq, the Pentagon has once again announced an additional deployment, saying that 615 new ground troops would be sent to Qayyarah to assist in the upcoming invasion of the city of Mosul. These troops are to be of the official kind, with officials saying President Obama unilaterally upped the cap on ground troops to 5,262 to make room for this latest surge. The U.S. has initially negotiated a limit to the number of troops, aiming both to try to downplay the size of the invasion and to allow Iraq's government to claim the U.S. deployment was limited. The cap has been busted time and time again, however, and even more so when one realizes how many U.S. troops are actually operating inside of Iraq who are not part of the official count. These troops are classified as temporary but have no end date associated with their deployment. Including the temporary troops in Iraq, the U.S. has surged past 6,000 ground troops, and when this new deployment is completed, the overall figure will be closer to 7,000. A substantial portion of these troops are deployed into Qayyarah, a base intended to serve as the base for the Mosul invasion. While officials insist that the forces remain advisory, the troops in Qayyarah are in the line of fire from the Islamic State forces in Mosul. Last week, the Islamic State fired a chemical shell at the base, though it hit a part that was not yet occupied. With more troops coming all the time, there will be less and less unoccupied territory on the base. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports the U.S. Coast Guard suspended its search for 20 Cuban migrants reported missing after their boat capsized last week. 3 people found on Big Pine Key in the Florida Keys reported they were among 23 people aboard a boat that left Cuba on September 20th and overturned the following day while traveling to the United States. The bodies of 3 of the remaining 20 people aboard were located in Isla Mirada in the upper Florida Keys, and another body was found on Big Munson Island. Monroe County Sheriff's deputies recovered another body from Ramrod Key in the lower Florida Keys, and an investigation is underway to determine if the person was part of the group. The Coast Guard search, which covered over 9,300 square miles, employed aircraft and several ships. That search was suspended on Tuesday. The Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission aided in the rescue effort. When her plush and comfy life suddenly and unexpectedly fell apart, Brooke and her dog Cloud set out to defy the odds. If this is a man's world, as they say, living on the streets is no place for a young woman. One day she awoke in the redwood forest and realized she had become a hobo, and would ultimately come to know exactly what it means to survive. How to Be a Hobo by Brooke Willett is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. Reuters reports the University of Missouri said on Wednesday that a fraternity accused of making racial slurs towards a group of black students had been suspended less than a year after allegations of racism on campus ignited protest. The university's Legion of Black Collegians said in a statement that 2 black students were in front of the Delta Upsilon fraternity house late on Tuesday when several white students passed by and one uttered a racial obscenity. According to the group, as police officers arrived at the scene, additional racial slurs were heard from the white students. The university said the fraternity had already been cited this semester for another violation, including alcohol offenses. The suspension means the fraternity cannot use school facilities or take part in homecoming or other campus activities, according to the university statement. Delta Epsilon International Fraternity said it issued an emergency suspension of its Missouri University chapter and was working with the school to investigate the incident. Unrest at the school was sparked last September when Missouri Student Association President Peyton Head said on his Facebook page that he was repeatedly racially abused on campus by someone riding in a pickup truck. Head's post went viral and students demonstrated over what they said was the lack of a strong reaction from University President Tim Wolf. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.